All right, so looking at the May 6th agenda, this is what we have planned for today. We'll begin with looking at the Patina components repository, and then we'll go through the following agenda items. If anyone has any questions or anything, then just raise your hand during the meeting and we can stop and address those. I think this will be a relatively short meeting today if we go just through the planned topics. So first is the Patina components repository. This is a new repo that was created to host the Patina components that we develop within Patina. The main idea behind this repository is to be able to separate them out into a place that they're easily visible. It's easy to find the components that we have, but then also to get a better separation between some of the more widely applicable slash foundational code that we have over in the Patina repository. And that would be like the SDK and the core crates, and then the separate Patina components. And one of the main changes that we're making here to the way that we've maintained components up to this point in the Patina repository is that these will be individually versioned. And as developers add new components to this repository, the expectation is that a code owner will be assigned per component. And then in the future, it'll be obvious, given a component, who the owner for that component is. This is a little different than the way we've been maintaining code in the Patina repository, because there we have a kind of wide set of maintainers that look over the entire repo, whereas here we expect the content to be a little more diverse. Are there any questions about Patina components?
I have not looked. Do we have automation set up for the individually reversion individually versioned crate releases, or is that something we still need to work on?
That is something that still needs to be worked on, and there is an issue for it here. If you would like to take that up, just go ahead and take the issue.
Okay.
Otherwise we can leave it.
I will, yeah, leave it for now. I will probably take it on, but I've got a couple of other things that I need to do first, so I don't want to take it prematurely.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I think that covers the Patina components repository topic. I'm going to go to doc updates. And doc updates, this is a PR for updating some of the introductory material inside the MD book. GitHub continues to not work. Okay. So this is what this PR does is it adds a new page that explains where Patina is in the UEFI Rust ecosystem. And this is just to give an overview of the different options available whenever you're looking at writing UEFI code in Rust. There are some popular crates you'll come across like UEFI RS and REFI and STD support within the Rust language itself. What this does is provide an overview of where you might want to use those different projects depending on what your use case is and how Patina is different. In addition, it adds some other stuff like the link check backend and things like that to the MD book to verify links. But just a quick update there on the introductory material that might be helpful for others. Next topic is there's a code first RFC. This RFC gives a code first process for Patina that allows us to develop code changes in parallel with specifications. This is for people that have worked in like EDK2. This is it has a code first process as well, so you might be familiar with the idea from there. This is an RFC that talks about the way that the process is structured in terms of the order that you need to perform the different actions in to start the code first process with both Patina and the specification body, and then how you go about developing your code changes, pushing them to the project, and writing the documentation that is necessary. On?
As you was talking about the patina, so I have question about the tool change. Um, are we supposed to only build patina, or can we build patina with only stable release, or do we have to always build patina with nightly build?
You will have
Um,
to use nightly.
and is there any plan to move it to stable? The reason is when we are working on to ship some of our Rust, right? And then the internal discussion is we should stick with stable instead of nightly because it's subjected to change. Uh, but then what is the your rationale to use nightly instead of stable? I would like to know that.
Okay. We do have that rationale in the MD book. So let me go find that section so we can give it to you. Um, it's basically here. I'll put it in the chat. So
Thank
this
you.
is our general philosophy on using unstable Rust features and why we use them. And we have tracking issues back to those features. So you can see by looking at our GitHub issues, you can see the tracking issues that will directly reference what we are using that is an unstable feature and why we are using it. So that will give the specific reasons of why we are using those. But this is also kind of like the high level philosophy around how we choose to allow that process to exist.
Thank you. Let me review that.
Yep.
And but from so that's like the suggestion from Microsoft is using even nightly bill on shipping product.
Yes. And we explain why we think that's acceptable in here. If it's not clear, we can definitely have a follow-up discussion on that topic in detail if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, any questions about the code first process? All right. We will move on to the next topic. I'm just going to go back to the agenda here. The next topic is the REFI 6.0.0 migration. This is something that Vanille and the team is working on. He has a PR posted in the Patina project with those changes. That's where this link here goes. It's targeting the major branch. So if people are familiar with our release process, we take changes that have a major breaking impact and put them on a major branch instead of the main branch. And this falls into that category. But this is where that work is for the 6.0 migration. Any questions for Vanille or about this work in general?
Um, the REFI, is it handled now by Microsoft or is it yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who implemented this in the first place.
It's maintained as a separate project. I believe that one of the UEFI target maintainers in the Rust Lang project maintain that crate. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's not uh, a corporate entity, to my understanding.
That's correct. It's one of the UFI target maintainers.
Okay.
I mean, what we're doing here is like we have already used our EFI, as you know. This was just a very large change in terms of a breaking change on their side to mark interfaces as unsafe that weren't marked before, and we're pulling that update in here. So Nothing from a dependency standpoint necessarily changes with this. It's just a code integration.
Got it.
Okay, that's the 6.0 migration. This should be wrapped up by the next meeting, but people can follow the PR if you're interested in doing so there. The next topic is training videos. There's a list of videos that we wrote down in the past that cover these areas. Those videos we are going to try to have posted to the ODP YouTube channel by hopefully the end of the week. We're going to focus on these first 3 videos to begin with. So we'll have like the project introduction, repo relationships, and basic integration details, followed by developer examples, particularly around creating components and building the code and stuff like that, and then debug. So that's just more of a heads up that that's coming soon. Okay, one of the other major work items going on at the moment is what's called PEI memory bin support. That is being tracked in this pull request, 1486. And what this allows is us to be able to allocate memory bins in the pre-Dixie phase, which in this case is PEI, and what we're calling the PEI memory bins. And then we can carry those that region that is allocated to hold those memory types into the Dixie phase, which is what Patina implements. And what we did in the past was we would get information telling us where or how big these bins should be. And then whenever the Dixie core started, it would allocate memory for these, and it would route allocations for those memory types to the appropriate bin areas that it designated. But that all was allocated and set up in the Dixie timeframe. What this allows us to do is to have the PEI phase allocate and set up those bins and that overall bin range. And then we can build on top of those bins directly in Dixie. What this allows is, like, the main reason for the memory bins is to have a stable memory map across S4 or hibernate resume cycles. In the past, before this support was added, we weren't able to keep everything tightly together in bins because if PEI needed to allocate runtime memory types, those allocations would occur before the bins were set up in Dixie. So we could route Dixie allocations into bins, but PEI allocations were sitting outside the bin. And that's what this addresses. There are details in here, in addition to the EDK2 PR, that adds the PEI bin support itself, on how this works if people are interested. And the reason why those two have to go together is because Patina implements Dixie. It doesn't implement PEI. So you do need to couple the PEI changes in EDK2 that add this support with this Patina update to use it. On?
I assume the PIM that you wrote to support this is in Rust. Is that correct?
The PEI core code that supports this?
Yes.
No, that is just in Tiano Core EDK2. We don't have a PEI core support in Patina right now. So the expectation is you will take that code from EDK2, build your PEI core with it, follow the instructions to make sure that memory bins are activated in PEI. And then if you couple that with this Patina update, the Patina Dixie core will use those incoming bins.
Got it. And if I'm using EDK2, then there's no need to do it to adopt this one.
If you're using EDK2 Dixie core.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, in that case, you wouldn't need to adopt this. It's for the Patina Dixie core. In EDK2, the change that Oliver, he's on the call, has up over there at the moment, it mostly focuses on the PEI support portion of this. But you would want to make sure that that PR is in your EDK2 code if you're planning to use these memory bins.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, in any case. Okay, let's continue on. We have the last topic here, and this is just one that I wanted to call out for John so he can get reviews as needed on it. And he's adding the USB I/O protocol interface and the HID I/O protocol interface to the SDK, and this is to support his earlier PR that was mentioned over in the Patina components repository. Any questions about the work going on here or anything while John's on the call? Or John, do you want to mention? Yeah.
I'll just mention that the HID-IO protocol is a vendor-defined protocol, so I created such a folder and put it in there. I'm open to alternate naming suggestions or other suggestions about where it should go until it's spec-defined.
All right. If there's no opens about this PR, yes, on.
Sorry, not about this PR, but something else. So I'll wait
Okay.
until this PR.
No, we can go ahead and move on. I think we're done with that one. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I have a question about the debugging QEMU. So if I'm using QEMU and I'm using the EDK2 DXC core, do I still need the UEFI extern or extension in order to do source level debugging?
Well, you never need the extension. It's a nice to have. So you have basically two reasonable options. One is, right, we have a C language, mu feature debugger repository that you can integrate into that. There's examples of how to do that in, Mutiana platforms. That is very much meant to work with the UFI extension and is the software debugger and the equivalent of what we have in the Patina side. The other option is you're using the QEMU quote unquote hardware debugger. And that you can still use UFI extension, but not to the same level of richness because the UFI extension relies for some of that on talking to the target. And obviously, when you're using the hardware debugger, there's nothing running on the target that you're talking to. But you can still get value out of using that. It can still find the modules and load the symbols. So you don't have to do that manually, but some of the functionality is not going to work. But it'll fail gracefully and tell you why.
I see. And I should be still, if I use the EDK2 REST core, I should still be able to break into certain module. Because I think that's problem that we have now is we have to let it run all the way and then we collect where the entry point is loaded. And then we have to reset and then put a breakpoint the next time the target is on a break in, and then we put the breakpoint at that address.
Yep.
Versus, I remember with the REST core, we can break into REST core and then we put a breakpoint at any module that we want, and we would stop there.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where you would use the code in mu feature debugger to get a software debugger to be able to do that, because the module breakpoints is a software based feature. So you can do that. It requires, the integration of that mu feature debugger repository.
And is that a lot of packages in there, or just one standalone package that we can just wrap it?
It is one standalone package. I'll drop a link to it, and you can take a look. I'll drop a link also to Mutiana platforms. You can see how it's integrated there.
Thank you very much.
Worth noting on that, this is not related to Patina, but I do think that we rely on an early break-in, like a one-line change to the Dixie core. I cannot remember if that's upstreamed or not.
I believe that's been upstreamed.
Did we? Okay, then never mind. Ignore me. Then yeah, it should work perfectly fine.
Okay. Maybe if you can send me that that one line change, just in case if we grab that or not, that'd be great. And I have another question about the MM supervisor. That last time, Michael, you talked about that. So this sounds like a a project Mu. It was implemented in project Mu, and is carried over here in Patina. So is it compatible with the drivers that we have? In other words, if we are later on use your Patina supervisor mode, do we have to rewrite our current drivers? I imagine that even when we switch, we cannot switch all at once. We will have some a lot drivers still written with the EBK2. Uh, so are they not going to work after that?
Uh,
If
yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, what we've seen is that the majority of standalone drivers that exist today will work. There are special cases where the standalone drivers are accessing ring zero protected instructions, and there's a list of them that are in a PR and mu feature supervisor. Things like MSR writes and reads, and as those for the MSRs and things like that, there's an interface through the syscall lib that allows you to continue to use them. The so the majority of functionality will still exist and be fine. There are some instructions that will not work, and if there's a use case where they're needed, they can be added. We just need to be aware of them. And then as for the actual drivers, the supervisor is very dependent on block memory requests. So if you're accessing memory, either from the environment that's not in the environment, there needs to be an associated unblock request. And the standalone in EDK2 is not doing a very good job of protecting against those accesses. So some drivers may need to be modified, but in the end result is you'll have a much better standalone driver if you have to do those modifications.
And just to clarify, if that wasn't clear, it's a standalone supervisor, right? So your traditional SMM drivers, no, will not work, right? They need to support standalone and then you can be using the supervisor with the notes Aaron has.
right, thanks for clarification. Do we have a guideline for that somewhere in order
There,
to comply with
uh,
the supervisor mode?
there is. If you go, because this feature has not been added to Patina yet, the Patina documentation is not checked in. But if you go over to the supervisor repository and you go to docs, you will find some documents here that will go into what exactly the supervisor does. And in addition, there is a platform integration document here inside the supervisor package. And this goes into the standalone MM changes that you need to make. So like Oliver just mentioned, traditional MM versus standalone MM, right? Regardless of whether there's a supervisor involved, just the fact that you're changing those module types, that comes with its own set of changes, and those are covered here in standalone MM changes. And then as you go through this document, it will talk about some very specific steps that you need to go through in order to do that, and it will cover different information like the hobs that need to be produced and how you set up your MM policy for the supervisor and all that kind of stuff. But do
Thank you.
take a look. Yeah, yeah, but definitely take a look through the documents over in this repository to get an idea of what's coming up.
The Patina QEMU also integrates this in the Q35. So if you need a reference platform to see what they're doing, you can check there as well.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Are there any remaining topics for today? Okay. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll talk next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.